This is the United Kingdom. Like the United States, they are a representative democracy. However, they don't believe in separation of powers as much. Rather than a presidential system, the United Kingdom operates on something called a parliamentary system. A parliamentary system is when the executive and the legislative branches are intertwined at some level or another within the government. Now, in the United Kingdom, we have the people who directly elect the members of the lower house of Parliament, which is the House of Commons. Now, one thing to keep in mind as well is that the United Kingdom, unlike the United States, is a multi-party system. So there's 5 to 6 parties, and what ends up happening is, instead of people voting for the individual like they do in the United States, they vote for the party whose ideals that they feel they can align with as closely as possible. That party needs to gain at least 326-seat majority in the House of Commons, and if that party gains that majority, they appoint the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister is the chief executive and head of government in the United Kingdom. So what's interesting about this is that rather than the United States, where the legislature is completely separate from the executive's power derives from the legislature in this. And we also see from here that the Prime Minister appoints the cabinet, but the cabinet ministers also are members of the House of Commons, and the Prime Minister is also a member of the House of Commons as well. So the Prime Minister, if we want to look at it from an American perspective, trying to understand it, he's like the President and the Speaker of the House all rolled up into the one. And the Cabinet Minister would be like a Congressman and Cabinet Secretary rolled into one. It's the most complete parliamentary system in the world. Another thing to keep in mind is the judiciary. The members on the Supreme Court in the United Kingdom are appointed by a committee that operates under the Ministry of Justice. So even though the Supreme Court in the United Kingdom is rather independent, it's still subject to a cabinet ministry, has a cabinet minister in charge that's appointed by the Prime Minister that operates out of the House of Commons. So, unlike the court in the United States, it's kind of subject to Parliament even more. And I know a lot of people are going to ask this, but what about the Queen? I know. What about the knights and the nobles? Well, I'm sorry to disappoint a lot of you if you're looking forward to this, but the Queen has absolutely no power at all. She's just a head of state and a ceremonial figure. Originally, she had supreme jurisdiction over the upper house, which was the House of Lords, which was the last undemocratic part of the United Kingdom's parliament. However, they don't have any more political power at all either, even though they're still considered the upper house. These two institutions are mainly ceremonial now, and supreme governmental power rests within the House of Commons. So de facto, the United Kingdom's parliament is a unicameral parliament. And since everything operates out of this one body, it's the highest organ of state authority. So the military and other independent agencies have to follow the laws that are passed through it, and so on and so forth.